If you're a roofing company that uses SEO marketing services, I want you to know that 100% of the work here with Roofing Webmasters happens in Fort Worth, Texas, in America. Nothing gets shipped out. I'm going to tell you why it's so important. This one's a fun topic for me. I'll try not to offend too many of you. I will say this. I don't care what country you came from. If you're in America and you're here, you're American, you know. We've tried to ship out of the country. I'll stop and say this too and we talked about it the other day, but people, there's a lot of dirt dog, hard-working people here. People came here for American dream, and it's just in the genetic makeup of a lot of people.
I think people come here because they want their work to mean something.
Yeah.
They come here because they're already a hard worker, and it doesn't mean as much elsewhere. So they come here so that it translates to something better.
It translates into fabulous work, higher quality. There's a lot of things that make it better. I mean, we've tried to ship stuff out the country because, again, I'll say I'm ultimately a capitalist, so a roofer wants a better website deal or a better SEO deal. And, yeah, if we could have done it, but every time we went to India or Philippines or Romania.
And we've tried it for content. We've tried it for design. We've tried it for programming.
In Ukraine before the war. We tried India for programming. I mean, they fleeced us and wrote the worst code possible.
Yeah.
You could stick a camera on them while they're working, and they would just screw you right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You know, did not matter. We used to have software back in the day. It was called AMI or something. You remember that? It was AM. It was an old software that would desktop monitor.
Oh, okay. You mean the one we used to have here?
I did one a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Because we had it
that might have
for
been
our crew back in the day, too.
Yeah, that might have predated. Yeah, I had one. I had somebody out of the Philippines working, and nobody wanted to put the camera on them. It was pretty new.
I came to work for you after you did the Philippines thing.
This was like 12 years ago.
Okay.
And, yeah, they'd be on there just wreaking havoc on the websites and doing stuff. It was god-awful. I mean, god-awful. And, frankly, used to, they'd penalize the websites. Nowadays, they just won't recognize you. It's hard to call it a penalty. There's certain things like bad content they still penalize you on. But if you just get overall poor quality work, you're like, I got it done for $30, Nolen, or $5. It's like
the penalty these days is more just neglect. They just
neglect.
They ignore you.
People will call and boast about how cheap they got the work done, but they're calling me for help because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then still boast to me about how cheap it got done. And I'm like, that's not a flex, bro.
Your head is entirely on wrong.
Yeah.
If you call us, it's because what you did before needs to be replaced.
Right. So you do not want that work. And I'll go so far as saying that after COVID, and I'm not the type to let people go home because I'm a pretty conservative Texas dude, but we're digital. And it worked, and it was cheaper
for a little while.
And I'm a capitalist, so I'm like, go home.
Yeah, we didn't have to air condition a big building. We didn't have to buy everybody a computer.
We dropped 3,000 square feet.
Yeah, we were able to move from a big office to a very small office.
Yeah, we didn't need layers of people that were just running around yapping in the office.
I remember when we first sent people home. You didn't want to do it, and then after a couple of months, you were like, this isn't so bad. I ain't got nobody coming by my office bothering me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can get a lot more done. I don't have anybody, nobody can walk down the hall to my door and interrupt what I'm doing. This is great.
It worked well for a while, and then they turned, 75% of them turned into a bunch of turds.
Yeah.
75% turned into piles of mush, wouldn't do work, just flat out wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, even some of the people that we thought were good people.
Yeah. There were people that we kept on board way longer than we should have because we were giving them credit from
who they were
before, who they used to be, and they had become somebody else.
Right.
To the point that in a couple of cases, we're pretty sure they got another full-time job and were barely doing anything for us at all.
Correct. Yeah, multiple people.
Yeah.
And so we brought most people. We had a small group of high-integrity people that we kept on board that are still working out of Texas.
Yeah.
So they're still
they're remote, but they're still in Texas.
We don't
have anybody out of state.
It was a minority. There wasn't very many of them, but there's a count on one hand group of people that we allow to work and do a little bit of work. So So there's that. And listen, you cannot innovate You can't have company culture and procedures and quality of, checks and balances. You just don't have it.
Yeah.
It's just darn near impossible. Someone will fight you and you talk and have a Zoom call, and then they go marathon and watch something on Netflix. And
and honestly, even if people don't do that,
yeah,
collaboration at a distance is difficult.
yeah,
Some people can do it, but I mean, you see it in the period, the COVID period. If you look, and this is going to sound weird, but if you look at like video games and TV and movies that were produced during that period,
yeah.
none of them are as good.
I mean,
Like literally, if you, I used to play World of Warcraft, right?
Okay, yeah.
And there was an expansion that was done during COVID, and it was one of the worst expansions they'd ever did to the game,
Yeah.
because the entire staff had to do everything remote, and they couldn't collaborate in a way where they were right there with each other.
If anything had to be done in the office when we did it, it was me and you.
Yeah.
We had one guy working from home that always helps and,
Yeah.
and does a good job. But there's just a handful of people. Everybody would get like into doing we do this one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, business has other things, and there was no expansion from there. There's no betterment from it.
Right.
It just all kind of stayed status quo and stayed the same, and then backslid, and we had to entirely.
Yeah, we
about
ended up
face from it.
replacing 90% of our staff.
Yeah. Just that was it. So, yeah, and as far as God, I don't know. I could go off on all this stuff, but we had some people, and if we'd stayed that way, it wouldn't have been bad. When you use a digital marketing agency and they're farming stuff out, and you know that it's been farmed out, I promise you, as the owner of this company, that you have just been trashed out, and the chance of you getting everything done is not high. I mean, not high that you're going to get a good job done. You're most likely going to get horrible workmanship, horrible work. Somebody asks for a change on their website. It takes 2 months. I had somebody go, "You can't make a website in 1 week." I said, "We can. We have staff here in Fort Worth, Texas." They were like, "My other guy took 2 to 3 months." I laughed. I was like, "That's because it farms out to Mumbai. And then it goes back and forth, back and forth."
We actually had a new client launch recently that right after the launch, he called me and he was like, "I got to tell you, Jason, this feels like it was too fast." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I mean, was this just copy and paste?" And I said, I'll say Bob. That's not his name. I'm changing the name to protect the innocent here.
Sure.
And I just said, "Bob, we've been doing this for over a decade. 15 years actually now.
Yeah.
We got this down to a science. If my staff can't put a site out in 3 days, I find new staff."
Yeah.
I said, "It's gonna work. It's not copy paste. Everything was done custom. Everything was done new. We're just really good at it."
Yeah. And that's why it takes so long, though, because they ship it offshore.
Yeah.
And then it comes back and it gets graded like it should get graded. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I assume this stuff is true. Who knows? It's TikTok. But, everybody moved here or like individual warriors a lot. If they say that guys in like Denmark will have like 14 friends on average. I think Jason has more friends. I don't have any friends, hardly. I
don't have a lot of friends anymore.
I'm a business guy, but
I have my family now.
the average American man has like 2 friends or 1 or 2 friends.
Yeah.
The average like guy from Danish or Denmark or wherever the heck it was has 14 friends. And I'm not saying this because
That makes you weak. I'm kidding.
no, it does on some levels because you have these warriors in here fighting.
Yeah.
So there's these warriors, these people that work their tail off. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Part of me is like,
But when you don't have a lot of friends,
Yeah.
as an adult man, you have to stand on your own.
You stand up and you work and you fight. And so there's this culture here of fighting. There's this culture of excellence. I think a couple of cultures that'll stand up to us, like Japanese perfection culture might, but yeah, we don't have that group here. And frankly, you can't sub your website out to Japan.
Well, no, they won't do it.
They're not doing that work. They're up in the first tier nations. You're going on down somewhere to get it done. But yeah, that work getting done here is fabulous. Software getting done here. I doubt you ever use software hardly that gets done in America. Our software is done here because it was so buggy and had so much trouble we couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even work hardly. So that gets done here.
And up until we just hired a new guy to help him out, but up until just now, we've had one guy. and he was able to do better than the team of guys that we tried to offshore it to.
It's got so many features on data pens now, though, that he spends a lot of his time just updating features that are already there. So that's part of the issue.
Yeah, well, it's grown in complexity, and now he needs a little help. But his help is, again, going to be here.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm pro Texas, hardcore, pro America. That was another thing I said last time. I'll say again, it's in Texas, too. If we were in some of y'all's states, it costs twice as much.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be able to control our workforce very well because you got a lot of regulations in a couple of 2 or 3 states there that make it difficult. So it's a good state to get high quality work done, to get it done the way we want it to get done, to do it on some level that's similar to what happened when I was a kid and worked in the 80s and 90s and stuff. We still kind of work and operate that way. Yeah. And we still do a good old boy approach here, and I'm proud of it. It's not a gimmick or anything. We're Texas guys. When somebody on boards with us, I talk to most people still. 15 years in, Jason calls and gives them a Texas welcome aboard, good old boy welcome, and everybody here talks like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of these companies have these cocky little punks trying to be demeaning and arrogant to the roofer, acting like they don't know they're a roofer. They're not supposed to know the other stuff. Doesn't mean anybody's ignorant or dumb or. It just means that
I talked to a new client a couple of days ago, and she was very apologetic to me because she didn't understand some of the technical stuff around her domain. And I was like, listen, that's not your job.
That's our job.
You give me a login and a password for the domain, and I will take care of everything else. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So,
but the guys know what I'm talking about. There's so many arrogant people out there, from the salespeople to the actual web people that they talk to.
Yeah.
They will talk down to the contractor, which is ridiculous. In fact, that's how I got in this business. I had a guy talk down to me. You know the story.
I know this.
And
I like to say this company was started out of spite.
I do a lot of things out of spite. Spite fuels me. I get mad.
We need that on a T-shirt.
I've been I don't know why. I was a kid that was angry. I don't know why. I remember being 10. If somebody beat me running, I'd just get crying mad. I mean, crying mad. And I've been able to get mad. I've had a bag of pissed off that I could dip into, and I can just get mad and never stop getting mad. But a guy, but I'm nice, but I get angry and use it. I had a guy treat me like just crap, and I'm like, dude, I'm not stupid. I just didn't. I don't understand.
I just don't know that.
I just don't know what on the website, and they quoted me like $1,000 a page for content in 2004.
Yeah.
And maybe
that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude. And I was like, I want the same thing you're doing. He's like, we don't do that for other people. I said, that's clearly, they had a hit counter back in the day. Remember the hit counters?
Yes.
And the hit counters had a contextual backlink on it.
Yeah.
And they'd give the hit counters out for free and optimize for the word free hit counter. And then they'd get tagged and it picked up and it all linked back to their website. And I was like, I want that. And they're like, we don't do that for other people. And I was like,
well, you got it. Just copy and paste it onto mine. What the hell?
This is exactly what I want. And then he talked down to me. I said, don't you ever talk to me like that again. I said,
I know what company you're talking about because you told me about him when I first came to work for you.
Yeah.
I had done freelance work for them about 3 years before.
He talked down to me. His name was Brent. And I ended up starting up
that company doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I ended up starting up a web team inside my home security company, which was not a good. I burned $250,000 a year back then.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous, and then I stopped, and then years later started this business and did it for other people. But we actually made a hit counter. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yeah, you did.
And optimized it and got contextual backlinks and shot our stuff to that. We had a PDF directory of like 3,000 alarm manuals. We had all kinds of crud. Just ludicrous amounts of stuff. Just people just teamed up. More. We were like, but it was ADT, Brinks, and then us.
Yeah.
Online. And it was fabulous.
Back when almost nobody else was.
Back when it didn't help.
Yeah, when nobody else saw what was going to.
There was no local.
Yeah.
This is New York City. It's like, we're not in New York. It's like we get 80 calls a day. We should expand. And then you expand. There's 20,000 cities. You can't expand enough. I lost my shirt doing that.
Yeah.
I lost my shirt expanding because we were the third most popular home security company. But anyway, guys, everything happens here in Texas. You got yours truly here. You got Jason here. We're handling business. We're better than we've ever been. We're in our prime. We may not look like it, but
I look like it. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
we're in our prime.
I need a
This
trim,
is it.
but other than that, I'm good.
Call us. We'd love to be a service. I want you up high in ranking. We expect you to be. You can do it. You can get up in ranking. You need a team like us to help you out. We've been here. The prices have gotten better. I don't mention prices because I don't know if they're
change all
going
the
to.
time.
They print $10 trillion. I don't know what that does. So, but they have gone down with us recently because we've been able to, harness the uniqueness inherent within your daily activities through data pins for great digital brand signaling and more AI innovation with data pins. And it's lowered the human component in here, although there's still a team in here helping you. But it did lower the prices recently quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we got some really good deals, and we'll help to kill it for you. Call us when you're ready. Look forward to being of service.
Take it easy.